All right. Hi, everyone. This is the Apostate Prophet, and I'm here with you as promised with a live chat. Can everyone hear me? Yeah, I think there is a little delay problem with the live chat right now, but I'm here with you as promised with my first questions and answers session where you can submit all your questions and I will try to answer almost anything. Just pay attention that the questions you ask are very, very politically correct and everything. Just kidding. So how are you guys doing? I hope everyone is fine. I'm reading here the comments live. It's everything is good and planned. Thank you, Kim. Thank you so much. I see you always supporting, and it's great. I love it. Thank you all so much. There are many people that I see on my YouTube videos very much. That is awesome. Okay. So do you just want me to start right with answering questions, or do you want me to make some kind of special ritual, some form of prayer of the apostate prophet or something like that? Thank you, Ishnam. Very, very good. Very fine. Family is very doing very well. Thank you very much. I'll just go ahead and start with questions. There's something about masturbation, but I don't think that's a question. Does the Quran contain hate verses or hadith? Karanvir, I talked about it very much. I will keep making videos about that, in which I will present a lot of sources from the Quran and the Hadith that are extremely hateful, extremely violent, and extremely intolerant of other people, other religions, women, and so on. So the answer is yes, and I will give you more sources on that. What would you do if your son would join the sect you were once part of? Kylo, nice question. I actually thought about not the sect, because that's pretty much impossible, but I actually thought, what if my son decides to become a Muslim in future and sees my work and disagrees with me very much? I honestly don't know. I mean, I won't be the person to tell him that he can't do that he's not allowed to do that. I would probably tell him everything that I know about it from my perspective. And I would also tell him that he's free to believe and to pursue whatever he wants to. But of course, I would also inform him about all the negative sides of it and about my experience with it. And to be very honest, I don't think that my son will even have the idea to convert to Islam. Hello from Hungary. Greetings back to Hungary. What was it like learning jinn is not in bathroom? Taco, nice question. I will come to that. If I see a similar question, I will come back to that. Thank you very much, Glenn. Hello from Poland. Hello back. Pakistan. Wow. Respect for coming out, Solomon. Thanks for all the great wishes. Thanks for all the great comments. I love it very much. Thank you so much. Have you ever talked to a scholar before? Okay, here's an interesting question by Kauthar. Have you ever talked to a scholar before leaving Islam? Well, I talked a bit before about my experience within Islam, and I was sort of a member of some form of Sufi order in Turkey, and it wasn't just some place where people go and like pursue traditional Islam. They have no idea about what they believe and stuff like that. It was the opposite. I mean, many people there actually had a lot of knowledge about the Quran, about the Hadith, about the history of Islam, and there was especially one very knowledgeable person who was kind of in the lead of the the Sufi order. And I was very religious, very pious, and people liked that very much about me when I was part of that Sufi order. That I was that I was always interested in information, interested in doing everything the Islamic way. And when I had doubts about Islam, then I had some questions. I gathered some questions, and I directed those questions both to to scholars within the Sufi order, and also to religious teachers and other people outside the order. And I always had this thing to go and talk to them, especially people that I like, people that I trust, people that I think are knowledgeable and intelligent. And there were just some things that never had a satisfying response, like Islam's treatment with women, or Islam's extreme intolerance of Jews and Christians, primarily Jews, and I will make a video about that soon. So I asked a lot of questions, and I never got satisfying answers. And I found that using my rationality was a much better way than relying on the opinions of such scholars. And that is eventually what made me leave Islam. I hope that answers your question. Yes, Muslims killed more Hindus between the 11th and the 15th century than Nazis killed Jews. But in general, Islam killed more people than Nazis ever killed. Communists also killed more people than Nazis ever killed. But it's quite a tricky topic, Karanvir. But thanks for your question. Blue Virus Gaming, what comment is that? Hello, my favorite and only true prophet, and who don't believe in the apostate prophet, would be declared and will have their heads chopped off occasionally. No, I won't make a statement about that. Solomon, can you talk about Quran 5 verse 101? I will check that later. I don't have it memorized. I don't memorize anything. I have a brain that is extremely against memorizing things. But thank you for the question. Julie, nice to see you here. It's very great to have your support here, Julie. You asked the question, what should we think of moderate Muslims? Are they dangerous? I wouldn't say that all of them are necessarily dangerous. I'm sorry about playing with my headphones all the time, by the way. I need to change them. Moderate Muslims. I wouldn't say that all moderate Muslims are dangerous in any way. I would say that moderate Muslims are in fact less dangerous than radical Muslims, even though you can clearly see where radical Muslims stand. I don't know. I might have to rephrase this answer later, thinking further about it. But I think I think that moderate Muslims are people who do not follow their religion properly because they don't know about their religion. Many of them are people who are subject to Westernization, who live in the West, and who learn how to live like you are in the West, which they are supposed to do, especially in Germany. I mean, I grew up in Germany, so I have a great experience with Muslims in Germany, for example. Muslims in Germany are vastly moderate Muslims. They are by far less religious than Muslims in the UK, for example, or in France. They are not less religious than people in America. I believe, as studies show, that moderate Muslims in America are the least religious Muslims. But from my experience with moderate Muslims, I don't think that they are very, very dangerous. They just have small problems that you can't make them understand because you are not allowed to talk to them about problems regarding their faith and their identity, because that is somehow seen today as racism. But to make it very short, the answer to your question, I don't think that they are very, very dangerous. I think that the idea of Islam is very dangerous, and that people who present a radical form of Islam, a fundamental form of Islam, are by far more dangerous and should be kept out of the West. Hope you are satisfied with that. Okay, a question from Consider the Petition to Remove CNN. That's a very nice username. How do you think that people living in communities in countries dominated by Islam need to find out in order to get beyond the fear and control exerted upon them? I might have little concentration issues somehow right now. I don't understand the question fully. Well, okay. I don't know. It's very hard. I mean, if you have experience with the Islamic world, if you see Muslims living in the Islamic world, you would see that many people living in the Islamic world are very much under heavy Islamic indoctrination. And Islamic indoctrination is, in my opinion, much stronger than Christian indoctrination or Jewish indoctrination or any other religion or any other ideology for that matter. Islam is based on a huge amount of fear, of questioning, of humor, of everything. That's why you can see Christians and the Jews laugh and make jokes and stuff like that everywhere, but you can't see the same thing about Muslims. I think it's very extremely hard to really get to Muslims in the Islamic world, in the Islamic community. But I wouldn't have an opinion on what to really do about that actively in order to change that. But I think the internet is doing us a very great favor in reforming societies, in reforming people's opinions about the world and about other people, and I'm very hopeful about that. Might not be a sufficient answer for your question, but I hope that's enough. Thank you. Taco, how did you feel that jinns are not real? I came to the conclusion that jinns are not real only towards the end of my religious faith, of my Islamic journey. And I had massive problems with the jinns, with what I thought were jinns. I made a video about that, which is called The Jinn Delusion, with a very stupid thumbnail. And yeah, I had lots of problems with them, but I realized towards the end of my religious adventure more and more that the ideas of the jinns and stuff like that were based on primitive thinking and based on not being able to understand our psychology, and that stuff is now more and more going away. Not in the Islamic world, but it's going away. And I was, of course, very relieved about the fact that jinns don't exist, because it's a lunacy to believe in that. Thank you for the question. Kane asked a question about whether Europe will ever recover after this migrant crisis. Kane Gray, thank you for the question. I think it can recover from this migrant crisis very well if Europe gets the right leaders and the right politicians to take the right steps to deal with this migrant crisis, because it is really becoming more than a crisis. It is a major chaos. And if conflicts in the Middle East don't stop, if conflicts in other parts of the world don't stop, then more migrant waves will come in, and even more people, more refugees from countries that are actually not torn apart will also come in, which really happened in Germany. I mean, a lot of people made accusations about that, and it turned out to be true. To make my opinion very clear, I'm very much against mass Muslim immigration. I'm not against regular immigration. I'm very much against mass Muslim immigration because Western countries are very much in culture, very much different in culture and laws from Islamic countries. And people who come from Islamic countries without any preparation, anything into to America or to the UK or to Canada or to Germany, for example, have no idea what they are about to face. They don't know that things are not handled the way they are handled at home. That's why there will be more and more problems in Europe if things go on like this. I wish for more rational leaders and better leaders who will handle the situation like it's happening in Austria right now. I have very much solidarity with how Austria is dealing with the situation right now. If you are not aware of the situation, Austria is currently closing down mosques, cracking down on Islamism, and announced that they will do it even further and not listen to anyone in this. And that gives me hope, because that won't create any form of racist clashes and wars or anything like that. That, I believe, is a solution. And I hope it will happen in Germany, in Canada, in the UK, in Austria, in Belgium, in Sweden, everywhere. It should happen, or otherwise it will look very bad for us. Sri Krishna, why did the first video not load properly? I was just testing something. That wasn't really, I didn't intend that to be the live chat. I was, the live chat was planned for this time. I was just testing something and messed it up. Sorry for that. But everything is fine now, I believe, with this live chat. Let me quickly go through this. Okay. There are so many questions, guys. I didn't expect this to be this huge. Beej, you said I despise the word revert. Please rant on that for a bit. This is actually a good video idea. Yes, it's actually a very good video idea, Beej. Thank you very much. I don't think I will rant very much about that right now, but I will make a note of this and we'll make a video about that. I didn't think that I would actually bring up notes here, but I will do that now. Thank you very much for that idea. I will make something about it. For those who don't know, revert refers to people who convert to Islam. They use the word revert because they have the idea that everyone is originally a Muslim and they just turn back to Islam when they convert to Islam, which is complete bullshit. Hi from Yorkshire. Hi back. Greetings to Portugal. Karanvir asked me about my health. Thank you very much. I'm doing very, very well. Thank you very much. Kauthar, you asked me what state do I live in. I won't really give very much information about that right now. I will have to give that in future, but not right now. I'm living in the US for everyone who doesn't know, in the northern parts of the US. Down of that, I'm not in Germany. I was born in Germany. I lived in Turkey for 10 years after that, and now I'm in America. Kylo asked me the question what I think about dharmic religions, such as Hinduism, Buddhism, and Jainism. To be very honest, I know a bit about Hinduism. I know a bit about Buddhism, about Jainism, about Sikhism. But to be very, very honest with you, I don't think that my knowledge on those religions is sufficient enough, even though I know the concept of those religions, is not sufficient enough to really form a big opinion about that I can make public. So I would have to just deal with that more. I was focused more on Abrahamic religions and on Islam so far. Yeah, I just want to stay honest with you on this. Thank you very much for the question. Melinda said, you read a book about the life of Muhammad and he didn't seem very crazy in the early years of his life. Well, I don't believe that he was very crazy at the beginnings of his life. I think he was actually a kind of a good guy with weird tendencies. But if you go further into studying psychology, you will find that many people who have caused lunacies around the world are also people who were like always mysteriously silent and kind of honest appearing and good and stuff like that. And Muhammad was one of them. Once Muhammad got more influence and more power in his hands, he went nuts. Sorry. Just having problems with my microphone. Tanya, thank you very much about your beautiful comments and greetings to Netherlands. Julie asks, if I were invited to speak in the UK, would I come? Yes, I would, actually. Depends on what event it would be, of course. My preference is always the US for now, but I'm always open to anything. I love to go and confront the people and talk about all the things that they don't want to hear about Islam. Greetings to New Mexico. Samurai Neko 3. If the Quran is fake, then explain how there is modern science in it. There is no modern science in it. I will make a video about that. Thank you. I'm just going very quickly through regular comments and questions. This is very huge. Thank you very much, everyone, for all the questions and the great comments again. This is my first live chat, as you can see, my first Q&A, and I'll try to answer as many questions as possible in the best way possible. And if I want to adjust anything about this, then I'll just go through it in next time or in a video. Isaac, you asked a question. I was wondering, because you have previously mentioned that ISIS is very closely following Islam, whether or not you will do some videos comparing their policies and what the Islamic texts say. Yes, I'm planning on doing a video on that. I think I implied that in some of my videos, especially in a video where I talked about who are real Muslims and who are not real Muslims. But I will make videos about that further. I don't want to be very honest, I don't want to talk very much about terrorist organizations like ISIS, because I think it's very much more important to focus on the fundamental teachings of Islam and on Islamic history, and also on current Islamic opinions. Because ISIS is a very easy thing to talk about, and everyone does that. And people talk about it very falsely very often. More people talk accurately about it, but it's not my preference, but I will do it, definitely. I have a good plan for that. Thank you for the question. And thanks for the Twitter follow. Well, you're welcome. Thank you very much. You can, if you want to follow me on Twitter, everyone, I'll follow you back if you tell me that you come from this Q&A. Emina asked a question saying, do you have any advice for ex-Muslims who are living in Muslim households? Well, it's very tricky to deal with such situations, because it really depends on how they are living and what family they are living with. I mean, I have seen cases of ex-Muslims or just atheists who never believed in Islam anyway, living at home with families that are quite secular and that are quite open to things like apostasy or like religious differences. I mean, in that case, it's obviously not very much bad. But there are also people who live in Muslim families in the West that are quite religious. I would say, if I give an example of myself, this is how I did. I know many people wouldn't admire this feature of mine, but I didn't tell my parents what I'm doing. I didn't tell my parents that I left Islam. And I just kept it as a secret because I thought it's irrelevant. I don't have to tell them anything, because I don't believe in any God or anything anymore, even though I don't have a problem with major religions very much, except Islam. So I didn't feel the need to somehow tell them and call them to my side, because I don't have to save them from anything except from living their life properly. But I thought it would probably not be possible to turn them around in any way, so I didn't tell them. What I would tell ex-Muslims in the West, in Muslim families, is to just get through it and try to get out of it. Start to definitely stand on your own feet. Provide for yourself, make your own living, and prepare yourself to detach yourself from that family, if your family is a family that values the religion more than it values you. For people who are in Islamic countries, that's very long and very hard. I would rather talk in a video about that. I will make a note on that to talk further about it. Okay, let's come back. I thank you for the question, Emina, by the way. That was a very good question. Azri XXTZ asked, what are the things you are most disgusted about Islam? Where would I start with that? Well, I'm very much disgusted with how Islam idolizes Muhammad and his disgusting personality. I am disgusted with very much how Islam treats women, how Islam orders to treat women, because I grew up in the West. I went to Turkey, came to America, to the Western world back. So I experienced both sides kind of in a rational way. And what I learned is that there is not very much a difference in society between men and women. I'm not talking about biological differences or role differences or stuff like that. Of course, there are such differences. If I didn't agree that there are such differences, I would call myself an idiot. But women being treated differently, extremely differently, being oppressed, treated as objects, as goats, pun intended. I would say that's the most disgusting part about Islam to me. And of course, about how it deals with freedom and apostasy. But thank you very much for the question. T-Bread78, do you think Islam can be reformed? I talked very much about that with Armin Navabi when he was on my channel. I talked very much about that to Vidovic when I was on his channel. I talked about it very much. I hope you're not mad at me if I say I wouldn't answer that question right now because it's a very long topic, but I will make a video about it in very, very near future. I have that on my schedule already. But thank you very much for the question. It's a very interesting topic, and I will make a very big topic about it. Thank you, everyone who's watching, by the way, again and again and again. And thank you for all the great comments and questions. My thoughts on American politics and Democrats and Republicans. I will come to that in a bit. Thanks for the question, Lone Crusader. Sumit Arora, who wrote the Quran? That's a weird... Who wrote the Quran? Well, according to Islam, according to Islamic teachings, Muhammad talked the Quran. I mean, he delivered the Quran verbally by inspirations that he received personally, directly from Allah, or indirectly, let's say, because most of them were brought by his friend Gabriel. And other people made notes while he was alive, while he was delivering those quotes, those Quran verses. And the Quran was worked over multiple times after Muhammad died. So no one actually wrote the Quran. That's what a mess the Quran is. But I will come to that, definitely. Shout out to Yorkshire Wakefield. And I have no idea. Oh, okay, yeah, okay, shout out. Thanks. Did your family vote for a specific political party because of their religion? Asked by Medgard. Thank you. Nice question. My family was always very, very religious, and in the Sufi order that they followed, the teaching that they most associated with was that politics is in some way bad. So my parents, when they lived in Germany, when they lived in Turkey, they never had the intention to vote for any specific party or presidential candidate or anything like that. They never voted, but they favored some political parties over others. So no. Thank you for the question. Someone asked, RST HEG, I don't know how to say that. Why are Muslims so arrogant? I wouldn't generalize like that, but yes, I agree that very many Muslims are, especially about their religious beliefs and about their identity, very arrogant compared to others, which comes mostly from their religious identification. I made a video in which I talked about that very much too, which is called Why Muslims Can't Take Criticism. If you haven't watched it, you can do so. I believe that's one of my most explanatory videos. But thank you very much for the question. Nadia B, thank you very much. Thank you for all the great comments. I said it every time when I see some great comment. Predator X, very nice question. I think about that a lot. The question is, if you would have to be in a religion, what would it be? I'm still thinking about it. I can't answer that question. I really can't answer that question, but very interesting question. Thank you. Patrick Park, was Muhammad a nice person before he gained absolute power? Yes, he was a nice person before he gained absolute power. And he changed very much and revealed his true face after he gained power, which is usually the way it works with many people who turn out to be disgusting, bullying people. Anyway, thank you for the question. Kauthar, thank you. I try to answer all questions that I see. Thank you very much. Girl with a star earring. The question is, have you tried bacon? Yes, I did. It's delicious. Emmanuel Goldstein, thanks, and greetings to Germany, my original home country. Darcy Barrett asked, what do you think about the scientific evidence the Quran gives? There is basically no scientific evidence in the Quran. And if there is something that the Quran or the Hadith got in any way wrong, right, then it's usually something that you can come down to with common sense by thinking just further about things. You don't need scientific methods for that. Or it is things that were revealed by other people long before Muslims, long before Muhammad. For example, the Egyptians. Thank you for the question. Are there any more ex-Muslim activists whose views you disagree with? Asked by Sabina Muzaffar. Thanks for the question. Yes, I actually disagree with a lot of ex-Muslims, especially about political issues. Not very much about Islamic issues, not very much about issues concerning Islam, even though I do have major disagreements with them too, with them about that too. But my major disagreements with ex-Muslim activists are more about atheism, anti-theism, and politics. I think I would agree more with a minority among ex-Muslims, and I think Vidovitz, for example, is someone who I greatly agree with on many things. Kylo asked, were you ever attacked in real life by Muslims? I wasn't physically attacked for voicing my opinions about Islam. I started to voice my opinions only in my at the end of my time in Turkey. But the most serious thing that I received was that someone who knew me for years and who worked at the same company that I did sent me actually a message which said that he would love to cut my head off and throw it in the street. And that was a person that I personally know, and that personally know me, that spent a lot of time with me. What I did was I just ignored it. I didn't send it to any authorities in Turkey or anything, because criticizing Islam and the government is also forbidden in Turkey. So if I really had to go to the police with what he sent me, then I would probably have problems with the law as well. That's why I'm so glad that I'm out of that shithole of a country. Sorry. Thanks for the question. Sri Krishna asked, was Muhammad suffering from fear of women? I have much deeper, much further thoughts on why Muhammad had such a problem with women. And I think it wasn't based on fear. It was just based on control, on how he viewed women. But that's one of the most important topics to me. I mean, women and its treatment, Islam and its treatment with women is one of the most horrible things to me about Islam, and I will talk a lot about that in future. But thanks for the question. Iathis, I don't know how to spell your name, I'm sorry. Can you tell us about the verses of abrogation? Very quickly, I will make a video about that. I have it planned already. Abrogations are just I would rather leave that to a video, but yeah, some things were revealed in the Quran or the Hadith, and even though they are still in the Quran, they are not followed anymore because they have been abrogated. Or some things were in the Quran and have been removed from the Quran because they were abrogated. Or some things are not there anymore in the Quran, but they are still applicable in law. Such things are a clear evidence to me that Islam is definitely not a divine religion or anything like that, and that the Quran and the religion of Islam was merely a product of very, very flawed human mind and memory. But I will make a video about that further. I think it's a very interesting topic. Thanks for the question. Melinda asked me, don't you want to shave off your beard? No. I hate myself without a beard, to be honest. But I'll probably make it a bit shorter than it is now, but I won't shave it completely away. My beard is also completely un-Islamic. Even though people don't really pay much attention to that, because in Islam you're supposed to make your mustache much shorter than your beard, and you have to make it clean below here and stuff like that. Anyway, very important question. Thank you very much. What is the most peaceful country? Asked by P4P Gorilla. I would say the most peaceful countries, predominantly Muslim countries are the ones located in Eastern Europe, in the Balkan region, and countries like I don't know. I really haven't thought very much about that, but I would say that countries like Kazakhstan, with a lot of post-Soviet stuff and a lot of secularization, women's rights, are very un-Islamic and are much more peaceful than countries like Sudan, obviously. Interesting question. Thank you. Wong Li, I love you too. Thank you. Bacon Macon, do you think Allah is just and all-loving? No, I think Allah, if he really existed, would be a very, very huge, disgraceful scumbag, but he doesn't exist, so. Karanvir, we should not hate Muslims, but we should hate their Islamic ideology. I partially agree. That's all I say about that right now. What's your thoughts on Tariq Ramadan? I don't know very much about him. I don't really go very much into it. To be honest, I'm not a person who watches stuff very much. I mean, watches speeches and stuff like that, and I don't research very much about personalities that might have to do with Islam, whether they are proponents or you know, against Islam. So I wouldn't really be able to answer that question. Samurai Nico, the Quran is barely scientifically accurate. That's my final response to that question. I will make a very, very big video or a series on that. I will just go to the end of the chat right now to check what's going on. Okay, it's mostly questions. That's why I'm trying to go through all the questions from the beginning. I think I've come very far. Let me sort that quickly. Well, yeah, YouTube is a weird system. YouTube is a weird system that I wasn't familiar of, because this is pretty much my first live chat that I'm really in control of, and all their comments apparently disappear after a while, which is quite weird. So I don't have any access to questions that were asked half an hour ago, or maybe I answered those questions probably, but questions that were asked 50 minutes ago. So I'm sorry for that. If you have questions that I didn't answer yet, just ask them ahead. I won't ever go down to the last text anymore, because that messes up everything. Anyway. Ushna Salman asked the question, I watched your video Life After Islam, and I'm a Muslim too, and I want to leave Islam. I'm too depressed. Please give me some suggestions as in what to do. I get questions about I get questions like that very much, whether they are from a serious background or not. So I want to actually make a video in which I talk to people who are still part of the Islamic religion, and who are trying to get out of it, or who are trying to get out of the Islamic world, or stuff like that. I think it would be much more useful if I left it to a video dedicated to it. Melinda, thank you for your thank you for your comment. Wong Leng Kashung asked the question, do you think that some verses in the Quran are truly inspired by the word of God? I don't believe in any deity. I don't believe in anything supernatural, even though I totally respect people believing in Hinduism and Christianity and Judaism and so on. I even respect that people can believe in Islam. I just don't respect Islam itself and what people do with Islam. So I can answer that question, but thanks. Diesel Dog, where can I get a guy as handsome as yourself? Stop it. Rami Tobin, yeah, Rami Tobin's a nice username. Do you honestly believe Muhammad existed? We have more evidence that Muhammad existed than we have evidence that Muhammad did not exist. But I answered that question in recently, just in VideoVid's live chat that he had with me. I find it completely irrelevant whether Muhammad existed or not. I find it also completely irrelevant whether Jesus or any other people existed or not. What is important to me is their status, their picture within that religion, within that ideology. And I gave that example last time. If we compare Jesus to Muhammad, for example, and I don't believe in any of those two. I don't follow the religions, but if we compare Jesus to Muhammad, then Muhammad is obviously the one who deserves 100% of the criticism that you can share between the two. So thanks for the question. Someone said Quran is a selected parts of the Holy Bible. Quran is very, very weak compared to the Bible, which I am not saying because I hate Islam, and I'm not saying it because I in some way respect the Bible. I'm just saying that if you read the Bible and if you read the Quran, you will see major differences. Like the Bible actually tells you stories about the prophets. It tells you a lot of details about things that happened, about moral stories. It gives you a lot of things that you can base your morals on, whether they are globally good or not. The Quran is not nearly like that. The Quran doesn't tell any story to any useful extent. It refers to stories from the Bible sometimes, like to Joseph, for example, but tells the stories in a very pathetic, in a very short and just linguistically weak way. The Revenant said, leaving Islam doesn't mean you must become hairless. I agree. The situation in Iran, someone asked. Yeah, Iran is very much changing about. I don't even think that Iran is changing very much. I just think that people are waking up in Iran slowly because they realize that this is definitely not the way to go. Iranians were more developed, more modern and open-minded than Turks, than all the Arabs in their in their environments, and many other people, many other predominantly Muslim people. Iranians were always, I think, more open-minded. They just made a very, very wrong move. They were deceived by a fraction of revolutionaries in their country, and right now, people are going more and more towards breaking free from that. And I'm very, very glad about that, because I think I view Iranians as a very special people, and I think they deserve freedom and openness, finally. What proportion of Muslims want to leave the religion but can't? Asked by Stephen Anderson. Thank you for the question. Numbers on that are so hard to find, because you cannot make those surveys in Islamic countries. It could get those people who want to leave in very, very extreme trouble. But studies, and I might below reference some later, suggest that the majority of people converting to Islam decide to leave the religion after a few years, and that the number of people converting to Islam is around the same as the number of people converting out of Islam. And they come to that and studies come to that conclusion even when they are not able to trace the number of people who actually want to leave the religion. So I believe that there are more people who are leaving the religion than joining the religion. What makes Islam grow so crazily is the high birth rate among Muslims. Kylo said, "Why are eternal sex orgies the highest one can attain in Islam?" Good question. Watch my last video. You probably watched it. What country are you from? I'm from a Turkish family and was born in Germany and live in the US now. It's all a mess. Thanks for the question. Eddie Guanajuato, are you still on Pamela Geller's site? Not actively. I mean, I corresponded with Pamela Geller before. She offered me the opportunity to write a few pieces for her, and she actually also said that I can send something to her to post on her page, articles under my name whenever I want, whenever I have something. But I think I published like 5 articles on Pamela Geller's Geller Report, but at some point I just got more and more into being busy with my own YouTube stuff and being busy with work otherwise. You know, people don't think that, but I also actually do work outside of this. So I'm not very active there anymore, but I might again start publishing some stuff in the future. I don't know. I'm trying to find the next question. And thanks for all the views. Thanks to everyone who is here. Thank you very much. I appreciate it very, very much. There are a lot more questions and a lot more views than I thought there would be in my first chat. I hope you also get. I hope it's also good for you. Someone asked again, what's your background? Turkish, German, American. Turkish parents, Germany born, American by choice. Would you visit Pakistan? I don't believe I would ever visit Pakistan. No. Thank you for the question. Asked by someone with a Hebrew name. I can't read that. Well, there's a lot of comments now that I have to go through without questions, but thank you for all the great comments. Yeah, I'm still trying to go to questions. What is there in Islamic paradise for women? Question asked by Roxanne LaFrance. I touched the topic very briefly in my last video, in which I explained that the Islamic paradise is very much a paradise for. I want to choose my words very carefully. For Arab people from the 7th century. Yeah, it's pretty much a great paradise for those people. It's not a very great paradise for women. And if you actually search online, you can find women asking questions to Muslims like, hey, I am a believer and I want to go to heaven and I am married or I'm going to get married, but how can I deal with the thought that my husband will have so many virgins and so many wives in heaven? I don't want that. And there are really a lot of people who really feel very desperate about that thought because they believe that's what's going to happen, and they can't deal with that idea, which I totally understand. So the Islamic heaven, just like the Islamic religion in altogether, is very much for men. It's not for women at all. I mean, women who convert to Islam are committing suicide. Not literally. And I might make a video further about that. Thank you very much for your question. Lord Draco said Turks are not bad. Islamist Turks are evil. Yeah. I don't know. If I start talking about Turks, and I never stop. So yeah. I don't have a problem with all Turks. I mean, I know a lot of great Turks. I lived in Turkey for 10 years, so I know that there are a lot of them who are very nice, who are very open-minded. I lived together with a roommate. I shared a room with or a home, an apartment with someone who was very open-minded. I had friends among Turks who were very open-minded. It's just that they are very much influenced by their Turkish national ideas and by the Turkish way of following the religion of Islam. So there are a lot of societal problems within Turkey, and it's just getting worse right now. I might talk about that further. What do I think about Linda Sarsour, Melinda? Nothing good. I made a question. I made a video about that before, which is titled "Exposing Linda Sarsour and the Women's March." I despise her. I openly say that. Everyone should openly say that. I think she's very deceitful. She very often doesn't say what she really thinks about people, about Jews especially. About Zionist Jews, about Christians, about atheists, about ex-Muslims, about homosexuals, about gender roles and everything. I think she's a disgrace, and she shouldn't be given any platform in America. I'm not saying she should be banned. I'm just saying people should stop pushing such people like her. Thanks for the question. Megadutcher asked, why do you think violence increases around the world when it is Ramadan? Well, many Muslims actually say that that violence decreases when during Ramadan, but studies show that that's very often not true. It's very, I don't know. People become more zealous during Ramadan because they think that's the most important month. People are hungry during Ramadan. Smokers don't smoke during Ramadan. They don't drink during Ramadan. So what do you expect? Tickling the Ostriches asked me, what are the most dangerous myths circulating among Mohammedans? It's nice to see people who still call Muslims Mohammedans. Well, I wouldn't. I don't know. There is a very huge variety of things that are dangerous within Islam. But I think one of the most important, one of the most dangerous things that are very common among Muslims right now is actually not something that is entirely found within Islamic scripture. It is something that comes from Islamic scripture, which is the Islamic system, the Islamic indoctrination of Islamic unity, of Muslim unity against the kuffar. It's not a myth, but why I'm referring to this is that it also brings very many myths with it about Jews, about Christians, about infidels. I mean, if you ask a lot of people in the Islamic world, they will tell you that that Christians, atheists, and Jews are basically all the same on one agenda against the Islamic world and against Muslims, which is laughable. If it's ridiculous to even make such a claim if you live in the Western world and if you see how much competition among ideologies there is in the Western world. Thanks for the question. I know it might not have answered what you actually asked, but thanks for the question. Killer, what do you think about the recent discovery that the old mosques are facing Petra and not Mecca? It's a complicated issue that I would leave to a different time. I mean, I wouldn't say that it's really something that tells us very much about the religion, about the origin of the religion or anything. But what's important to know is that mosques didn't always face the Kaaba. I mean, prayer mats, prayer positions did not always face the Kaaba, did not always face Mecca. And there is something very, very weird behind that, and I will probably make a video about that, which I will also include probably in my Paganism and Islam playlist. That's just a hint. Thank you very much for the question. Oh, yeah, I hate this live chat system. Okay, anyway. I'm sorry. I think for my next live chat that I will do here, I will find a different solution than just relying on YouTube's weird chat system, because it becomes very hard to follow if there are many questions, and some just disappeared. I can't go back to them anymore. But I will keep a lot of things in mind to make videos afterwards, because I believe that I will be able to view all the comments that I can't view right now. Anyway, let's not waste time making comments like these. I will be here for another hour, so you can ask me a lot of questions. I will try to answer anything. I don't know what mental condition Muhammad was in. I believe that he had severe issues, but it's not something that we can suddenly just go back and find out and trace. Greetings back to Israel, where my employer Mossad is. They are late on their payments again. It's such a mess. People will take this seriously. Was Muhammad really illiterate? Well, there are different interpretations, different discussions about it. I don't think it's very, very much relevant. But according to Islamic belief, yes, he was illiterate for a big time of his prophecy mission. It might have changed later. I don't know. Being illiterate won't make him better. Being illiterate won't make him any better either. Oh, someone gave me the idea, GTR 35, to make a special for the Ramadan, for the Mubarak, for the Eid, for the Islamic Eid. Eid. It's very stupid to say that word in English. It's basically the holiday at the end of Ramadan. I might make a special about that, a very special Ramadan Eid special. Thank you very much, by the way. Um, another question about how Pakistan loves Turkey and if I would ever visit Pakistan. I don't believe I would ever visit Pakistan. I think it would be suicide for me to visit Pakistan. But thanks for the question. Um, a lot of people in Istanbul and Western Turkey are not interested in Islam. I agree that many people in Turkey, especially in the west of Turkey, are not very much interested in Islam. They are very much secularists. They have derogatory views of Islamists, of Arabs, even to some extent of nationalist views, nationalist influenced views. Yeah, I agree, and that's good. It's good that Turkey is so un-Islamic, but it's bad that they currently have a government that wants to go more and more towards being religious. It will mess Turkey up unless Turkey changes. And the person at the head of the Turkish government, Erdogan, I don't know. I hope that leaders of countries will do something about it and engage in less and less friendship and diplomacy with Erdogan, because he's a very, very dangerous guy. He's one of those people. If you follow the news about Austria right now, for example, Austria made these moves that they started to close down some mosques that are funded internationally, or that have imams that are funded by different states, by different countries, or by different organizations that are related to Hamas or to terrorism. And they also started to crack down much more on Islamism. Because one of the mosques that was closed was a Turkish-backed mosque, Erdogan went nuts and started talking about racism and Islamophobia. Sorry. And he also made statements like that policies like in Austria may cause a religious war in Europe, and that it might be only bad eventually for Europe, which is a very, very terrible statement to make if you are the leader of a country. He also said something like that that the Muslim people and the Turkish people in Austria are oppressed by the Austrian government. I really I really have a hard time holding myself back in this and to not use any cuss words or anything. I mean, seriously, Austria, Europe, no person ever, no person in this time is oppressed in Europe. No person in this time is oppressed in Austria. And if the head of a state like Turkey makes such comments about Europe, then things might go just very, very bad. And he is the main obstacle between immigrants and integration in Europe. Did you go to the Kaaba and worship the black stone? Asked by Timnik. No, I never went to Saudi Arabia. I had the option once, but I wasn't really into doing that. I actually received an offer at some time from my employer back then when I was in Turkey. He wanted to pay for the entire thing and wanted to take me and some other people to the Kaaba for the pilgrimage, but I just refused. I thought, no, dude, I won't do that. Beth said Islam is a diabolical narcissist ideology of hate. So why do you think UK won't close all mosques down? I think it's a very deep issue. I think there's so much more behind that than just Islam being bad or the West being so soft on Islam and so weak about Islam. I think there is so much more behind that, and it has to do with with future plans, with how people view the economy, with how people view the future of Europe. I mean, it's a very weird thing to talk about, but there are so many people, for example, in European politics and Western politics, who think that we need refugees, that we need immigrants from Muslim countries, because more and more people in the Western world stop working on positions that are considered low within society. I mean, less and less people fewer and fewer people are working in positions that are required for a country to still have a great industry, in order to still have great manufacturing and production in the country. And that's why they somehow need immigrants to come and work within the country. And those same people accuse other people who are against immigration of racism and hate and of slavery-like opinions. I'm sorry, but if people who think that we need immigrants in Europe because Europeans don't work very much anymore, if those people really think that's a great opinion, isn't that much closer to prejudice, to slavery, or to anything else? I mean, isn't that more condescending and weird than to say I am against mass Muslim immigration? But there's so much more behind this, and I'll surely talk more about that, because it's a major issue that we face, that I gladly don't face very much because I'm in the US. Thank you, America. Why Allah loves the Middle East very much? Because Muhammad was an Arab. Someone asked your opinion on Rashid Khalifa, Quran alone Muslims. Interesting topic. I want to make a video about that. I actually contacted someone who claims to be in the steps of Rashid Khalifa, who works a lot about reforming Islam and turning it into a Quran-only Islam. But with all due respect, I mean, such Muslims are by far more peaceful than normal Islam that you can see in the Islamic world, but they are also very much full of lunacy. And reforming Islam in such a way won't solve the problem. I'm always for getting rid of all the hadith, because hadith are awful, but still, reforming Islam is a weird topic. But I will talk more in the future about that. Melinda Vermis, why almost all religions hate women? Well, it has very much to do with the evolution of people, with how the minds of people, with how opinions on society have developed. But I don't think that all religions are very much hateful and oppressive of women, but many are. It's not my focus. It's not something that I usually talk about. So just a short answer. I hope you're fine with that. Arihanto said, thoughts on Christianity. I answered the question before. I talked about it before. If I just compare the teachings of Christianity to the teachings of Islam, and if there was one religion among those that I had to call a religion of peace, it would definitely be Christianity. I'm just thinking of the main figures of the religions. The main figures are Jesus and Muhammad. The main books are the Bible, very much more the Gospel in Christianity, and the Quran in Islam. And if you compare the Gospel to the Quran, I don't know if I even have to make a statement about that. I mean, the Gospel is very much is very much more tolerant. I'm not saying it's entirely tolerant of differences, especially of sexual differences, but it's very much it's so much more tolerant than Islam, than the Quran has ever been. The Quran is a book full of intolerance, hate, and brutality, and deals with the majority of its content with intolerance and violence and stupidity, while the Gospel is much more happy, much more promising, and much more tolerant. Thank you for the question. My views on Trump. Thank you, Edgar Garrett. My views on Trump. Many people accuse me of being a far-right racist, alt-right, or something like that. Sometimes, not very often. I would say on a political spectrum, I'm a centrist. I have very liberal views. I have very conservative views, and I am not near anywhere. I'm not near even the center or the far side of any of both sides. I try to see things more rationally and try to always be honest to myself about political parties, political movements, political leaders, and so on. If I look at Trump, I think there are a lot of problems with Trump. But there are also a lot of great things about Trump that people really needed to have. And I think there are also a lot of bad things about Trump that I think the people of America really deserved. I mean, if you look at how people opposing Trump in 2016 behaved about societal issues, about social justice, about skin color and race and religious differences and women and men, for example, I think people deserved something like Trump very, very much. And I think he's doing a very great job on very many things. He's doing a horrible job on many other things, and he's doing average on many other things. I think Trump is not even that so different from many other presidents in the history of the United States. But I'm not extremely pro-Trump. I'm not extremely against Trump. But if you ask me, if you ask me about the elections in 2016, I prefer Trump over Hillary Clinton. But both of them are not, I think, very great candidates for the presidency. I would have expected better people. But yeah, I'm also very much fighting with people who are against Trump radically. Is becoming an ex-Muslim easier than a reformed Muslim? Asked by Reconquista Hinduism. Thanks for the question. It's an interesting question. It's a deep question, kind of. I would say that becoming an ex-Muslim is easier for yourself, but it's much harder when it comes to dealing with other people, especially with your Muslim family. Becoming a reformed Muslim is probably much harder for yourself, and is easier in some way in relations to your parents or to your family or to other people around you. But both of those things are dangerous. Ex-Muslims deserve the death penalty in Islam, and reformers also deserve the death penalty in Islam. I'm going further into the questions. I hope you have no problem with me vaping on camera. I'm doing this not because I'm gay. Ignore me. Okay. Thanks for great comments. Thanks for all the great messages. Thanks for all your compliments and everything. I appreciate it very, very much. If I know Christian Prince or Arabian Prophet is the same person, I believe, right? I do, not very much. I mean, I'm familiar with the channel. I'm familiar with the activities. I see it here and there. I see live chats here and there sometimes. But something that some people might find a bit surprising is that I'm not a very big YouTube watching person. I'm not a very big YouTube viewer. I'm not actually. Even before that, even before I start doing my own stuff, I was never the person who spends a lot of time listening to YouTube videos, because I was always more into reading stuff, which I kind of also see as a strength. I don't think that's in any way a disadvantage. Thanks for the question. No, I haven't registered for the pilgrimage Asri XTZ. I told a quick story about that before. I might have answered that question before you asked this question. I don't know. Will the world be destroyed by religious zealots? I don't believe so. To be quite honest, I don't believe so. I don't even believe that Islam can do anything so big to destroy humankind and the world as we know it today. But thanks for the question. Thank you for compliments. I love it. Miss Summer Rose, Austria is kicking out around 40 imams. What's your thoughts? I answered the question briefly before. I'm posting about that a bit on Twitter right now. I'm proud of how Austria is dealing with this situation with its new government. I think it's going well. It's very promising. And people like Erdogan of Turkey are crying about Islamophobia and racism. They can keep crying. I hope great things that are happening in Austria right now will happen all over Europe. I hope so. Not to an extent where it is happening in some other countries in Eastern Europe, but if things can be handled like in Austria, if things can be handled in Sweden and Germany and the UK, for example, the way they're handled in Austria, things would get so much better. Um, Interesting question asked by Jax Astral. Why do people keep saying that Islam is a religion of peace, and how did it start? I addressed that topic briefly, I believe, in one of my videos, in which I talked about how people started using that weird term, religion of peace, for Islam, because that's probably one of the most inaccurate descriptions of Islam. Um, it was promoted by some organizations that were around, like big Arab Islamic organizations in the last century, that wanted to go around, wanted to westernize a bit more, wanted to make a bit more diplomatical deals with the West, and wanted to spread the idea, or the picture of Islam, that Islam is quite a peaceful and tolerant religion, which it is not, which also every religious Muslim knows. But I think someone in America made a contribution to that stupid narration that harmed, that just destroyed everything. And we are talking about George W. Bush. George W. Bush made the comment saying that Islam is a religion of peace and that terrorists have nothing to do with Islam, and so on. And I don't even know what to say about him because of that, but he shouldn't have ever said that, because that boosted that narrative of Islam being a religion of peace. And even people who hated George W. Bush suddenly started using that because he turned it suddenly into a fashion. It's horrible. Bob Johnson asked, "What do you think of us Americans?" I'm thinking very well of you Americans. The question was a bit more, but forget it. Thank you, Bob. Thanks everyone again and again for being here. Thanks everyone for all your great comments and questions, and your I don't know, your nice comments. I love it very much. Thank you so much. Good question asked by Tim Space, or Time. It's Time Space. I'm sorry. I might be stupid sometimes. Can you be a Muslim and not follow Hadith? You actually can. I might go into that more when I talk about the history of Islam. But Islam was not always so much centered, so much focused on Hadith and on taking everything literally from the books and applying them to society. There are still movements in Islam that think that Hadith are not important. There are some movements that think that not all Hadith are to be taken seriously, and that only those Hadith are relevant that also agree with common sense and with rationality, and with the well-being of Muslims and the people. Such movements also existed 1,000 years ago. So it's nothing new. It's not some form of progress. And such movements were annihilated by people who were supremacist with Islam and the Hadith and the Quran. They advocated an irrational form of Islam over a rational form of Islam. But yeah, such people are around, and they can still be Muslims. And I wish such people who reject Hadith would be the majority among Muslims, because that's really how Muslims would be more peaceful. Not peaceful enough, because the Quran contains a lot of violence, a lot of nonsense, but still, they would be definitely relatively more peaceful. Sorry about the sound. What's your view on Pakistan? Asked by Edgar Garrett. That's probably don't make the mistake and ask me that question, especially not if you are from Pakistan. I'm not saying that all Pakistani people are somehow horrible people, but I believe that Pakistan has a major problem with Islamic zealotry and Islamic radicalism, that they don't even see it as radicalism. They see it as mainstream normal Islam. People don't follow their religion properly. They don't follow Islam properly. They have major mysticist influence in the history of Indian Muslims and so on, but they are also very, very intolerant when it comes to defending Islam, and they are the first to jump and defend Islam, even though they're also one of the people who have the least knowledge about Islam, I would say carefully. And by saying that, I mean that that's a problem within Pakistan. I'm not saying that all Pakistanis are like that. There are obviously also good Pakistanis as much as there are good Americans and good Germans and so on. What is the way forward for a peaceful world? I wouldn't really go into answering that question, but thank you for the question. I think if we just focused more on being on being tolerant, on thinking things through, on being more ourselves, and on listening to each other instead of just taking a side and attacking each other, we would be so much more peaceful, and everything would be so much more better. That starts in American politics, in Western politics, in the Islamic world, in the Far East, everywhere. Christopher Wright, you have been to Pakistan, it's beautiful. Probably. I will probably never be there ever. Wong Lankashung asks, please make an update when you will go live again. I might go live every month now. I will go live every month for a question and answers session. For now, it's only a month. Only once a month. Okay. No Name asked, have you seen the Religion of Peace website? Is it accurate or over the top? I believe that there are some elements about the website that are not very accurate and are usually associated with people who criticize Islam with a lack of knowledge. But that might be because more than one person contributes to the page. But I think, in general, I think the website is very useful and very accurately critical of Islam and the Islamic world. How many times have you been told you were never a Muslim? Asked by Gedalia. I get that every day. Predator X asks, is there anything you appreciate about Islam? No. It's a load of nonsense. It's an ideology full of nonsense. Why do Muslims have so many children? I don't know. I believe it's more of a cultural thing, and because Islam values the principle, the primitive principle of growing your house, your dynasty, so much. Not in the way it was done in the Far East or among Indians, for example. Islam values it in a very, very different way, and Islam has this extreme focus on honor and pride. Islam teaches very primitive thinking, and I think that's related to Muslims having so many children. This would require much, much further interpretation. But thanks for the question, Nipun Mera. Ronak Ambavkar asked why Muslims are so intolerant about their religion. I made a video which is titled why Muslims can't take criticism. I think I answered that question pretty much there. Thank you for the question. Trilika asked, how old is your son? He's still a baby. Thank you. Renee Bangerter, do you feel pressure of censorship? I do, especially if we choose to use platforms like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. Of course, it is always there. No legal form of censorship or anything like that in America. That's why I'm always glad that I'm in America. But yeah, on Twitter, you can be easily banned for a week, which I was only recently banned for just citing a fact about Islam. And I'm not just saying this. I really just cited something from the Quran directly and said, this says that this and this and this. I don't even put any interpretation of mine forward or anything. And I was banned for that for 7 days on Twitter. My Instagram account has been deleted after 10,000 subscribers or something like that. And my Facebook account, my old Facebook account, has been deleted after 10,000 followers. So it's everywhere, and it's disgusting. I believe that YouTube is still the best among those major platforms. I'm not talking about the alternatives, among major platforms in terms of censorship. Because YouTube, even though they do some irrational things like based on algorithms banning you or deleting your content, at least if you contact them, they get back to you and they solve the problem and admit that it was a problem, admit that it was a mistake. Jay Fraser said, "Can you do an Arnold Schwarzenegger impression?" I have the accent, but I can't. No. Three says, Ahmed, thank you very much for your nice comment. Geopolitics Junkie asked, if your children became Muslims, what will you do? I answered the question at the beginning of the live chat. I would just tell them to think further about it. I would just present, I would teach them everything that I know about it. I wouldn't push them to reject that religion, definitely, and that's what they have to do, and they are not allowed to do anything else. I wouldn't do that, but I would inform them, and I don't believe that any of my children would ever consider converting to Islam. Zahir Abdullah said, please make a series on war expeditions by a prophet of Islam. It is planned. I will do that. Racecar spelled backwards asked, why are Muslims allowed alcohol in paradise but not now? It's a good question, and it's a question that many Muslims actually ask too. There are different interpretations on that, but it's mostly based on interpretations. Like that alcohol is not good in the world because you could do a lot of bad things in the world because you just have inherently bad things about yourself in this world. But in paradise, you will be completely pure, and you will never have bad thoughts and bad intentions and bad feelings or anything alike. And that's why it wouldn't cause a problem to drink alcohol in heaven, which is, just go away with that, seriously. Thank you for the question. I don't understand the Hindi or Urdu chatter that is going on in the comment section. Anyway, in the live chat, I mean. Sumit Orara asked, what about a collab with David Wood? I actually had a nice exchange with David Wood very recently. He's a very, very nice person. And I won't say anything right now, but I'm not saying I'm not doing a I'm not saying I'm not doing a collaboration with David Wood at some point. Thanks for the question. Someone asked, is it true that Muhammad's first wife was his employer and that she was a very successful businesswoman, and that another wife was a high-ranking person in an army? Diesel Dog. Yes, both of those are true. I talked a bit about it before, and I believe it was in my favorite video, in my personal favorite video, which is the Pervert Prophet. I talked about that a bit, that Muhammad's first wife was his employer, and also a very rich businesswoman and a very respected woman. It's true. That also, of course, makes you question all the narrative that Muslims give you about women being oppressed before Islam and stuff like that. No, again, I can't do an Arnold Schwarzenegger impression. Thank you, though. Turkish or German football club do you support? I don't support any football club, to be honest. I think if I really share my opinions about the football industry right now, I would probably get hate. But thanks for the question. Beige Price. Imagine watching the husband having an orgy with others for eternity. Exactly. Exactly. Do people really want to go to that heaven? Yeah, the argument is that people don't have jealousy, for example, in heaven. Great. Awesome. And you are supposed to live through this thinking that you won't have jealousy, so it will be totally fine, that your husband, that you are one of 100 women, for example, sitting there while your husband goes around enjoying all of them. Awesome. What a great paradise. No. I talked briefly about Austria just recently. Thanks for the question. Is the Black Stone a meteor asked by Dark Suns? I believe it is. Many people believe it is. And that's why they don't want scientists to actually take the stone and make further investigations about it. That's how weak Islam is. Edgar Garrett asked, did you know that Mongols killed hundreds and thousands of Muslims? Yes, I do. It's a historical fact. But okay. A question about Imam Tawhidi of Australia and other people like Majid Nawaz. Beth said, I think Imam Tawhidi and people like Majid Nawaz are Trojan horses. What do you think of their trying to reform Islam when they both say it can't be? I might talk about that topic further when I make a video about reforming Islam and if it's possible or not. I believe that Imam Tawhidi and Majid Nawaz have some ambitions, but I don't really believe that they are in any way useful to us in our cause against Islam. One of the main reasons is that if you look at their fan base, there is basically no Muslim following them. Thanks for the question. Do Muslims read books beside their scriptures? Muslims don't read the Quran. Many Muslims. Is inbreeding really that prevalent in Islam? Asked by Andrea Hetherington. Nice last name. It is. Studies show that even half of Muslims in the Arab world, for example, might be a result of inbreeding. And in countries like Pakistan, it's over 60%. I believe like 70 or 80 or something. So it's almost nowhere significantly present in the world, except in the Islamic world, where it is extremely prevalent. And it has to do with Islam. It's not only pushed by Islam, but it has also to do with Islam, to be fair. I'm seeing repetitive questions, so I won't go into those, but thank you so much to everyone who's asking a question. I'm just trying to find new questions that I can respond to. Assyrian King, thank you very much. You said I'm an Armenian, but I will shake a hand of a Turkish great guy like you. Thank you very much. I never grew up with a Turkish identity and Turkish nationalism, so I never had a problem with Armenians. And if you really go into studying the Armenian genocide from an objective point of view, then you will obviously find out that the Ottoman Empire and the Turks at that time were greatly at fault and oppressed and murdered thousands and millions of Armenians. Thank you so much, by the way. Why is it 72 versions and not 76? I don't know. Good question. Someone asked, do you think Muhammad was high on magic mushrooms when he was allegedly told the Quran by Gabriel? Probably. I don't know whatever he did in that cave, but he probably did something very weird that people outside shouldn't really hear about. Or he was just a lunatic. It might be just a very easy explanation, like that was a lunatic. I will make a series on war expeditions by Muhammad. Thank you very much for that question. Yeah. Okay. I'm going through new questions. To be honest, I don't know about the French guy who killed himself next to the Kaaba or anything like it. What happened 2 days ago, 3 days ago? I don't know. I didn't know about it. I'm very busy these days. I didn't follow any news at all. Interesting. I can't answer the question because I don't know much about it, but I will check it out definitely. Thanks for all those who are bringing it up. Someone asked, how dangerous are the gray wolves? Just to summarize for those who don't know, the Grey Wolves are a movement, an organization, and a loose movement of Turks who believe in Turkish nationalism. And they have very various views about their nationalism. Some believe in a more religious nationalism, like Islam and nationalism combined. Others believe more in valuing pan-Turkism. It's a movement that is not as dangerous as it used to be 20 or 30 years ago. They are still ultra nationalists. You would definitely call them disgusting fascists if they were white and in America. They would probably have no place to go ever. But since they are Turkish and they are in Europe and in Turkey, they are considered normal. Their ideologies are very hateful and very dangerous. That's all I have to say about it. Thank you very much for the question. What do I say about the Mongols? The Mongols were very similar to the Turks, and it's in history, it's long over. They were very barbaric. There's not much to say about it. I don't know why Edgar Garrett is asking that question. Dankeschön, Threeses Ahmad. There are so many questions that I would love to go through. Can I speak Turkish, please? Asked by Somko. I could. What do you want me to say? What should I say? Okay. Herkese teşekkürler. Hoş geldiniz canlı yayınıma. Çok teşekkür ederim. That didn't really mean anything. It just means thank you very much and thanks to the live chat and thank you all. I don't know. Might be just proof that I actually speak Turkish. Gedalia, thank you very much. I enjoy being sarcastic. I enjoy sarcasm very much. I enjoy satire very much. I think it works magics, especially among people who are not very open-minded. I think it can open a lot of doors, and I love it. Even if some people tell me it's not the right way to criticize Islam or to do any of these talks, I believe it's wonderful. Thank you. What's in the Kaaba? Asked by Dark Suns. The Kaaba is basically empty. There's currently nothing inside. There used to be before Muhammad took it over, the Kaaba was full of pagan idols and also of idols that were referring to completely different gods that had nothing to do with the pagan religions, like Hindu drawings or Hindu stuff or Zoroastrian stuff, even pictures of Abraham, even things that come from Judaism and Christianity were in there. And when Muhammad went in, what he did was just crush everything, destroy all the idols, and say this will be free from idols from now on, because this is the center of our religion. Very tolerant. Muslims justify that because they think that Islam inherently owns the Kaaba, which was supposed to be a religious place of the Arabian pagans. Timo Vandre asked, since you originated from Germany, do you still know German? And what do you think of the Islamic flooding of Europe, especially Germany, UK, France, and Sweden? I answered the question, I think around to the beginnings of this live chat. I think it's sorry. I think it's dangerous. I think Europe needs to find the right way to deal with it. They could follow the recent strategies that Austria has developed and is currently very nicely executing. And yes, I still speak German very, very well. German is my first native language. So, yeah. How can I remove my hijab to my religious family and make them understand? Asked by Jazz Jazimo. It's a hard question to ask, really. I believe I should really do some form of series for people who are, especially in Muslim families, and struggling with that. I usually get a lot of emails and messages here and there from ex-Muslims in the Islamic world or in European countries and Islamic families, and I dedicate some time to answering those questions and having some empathy. But I believe it would be nice to actually make a series on that and inform a wider audience about what I think of those things and my suggestions about those things. I didn't do it in a perfect way. As said, I didn't tell my parents, but everyone has their own way in dealing with things. Melinda, yes, I do criticize Muhammad and Islam, but many people who believe in the religion of Islam are blind about it. I know. But my main objective is actually not to take Muslims out of their religion. My main objective is to create some sort of an intellectual front against Islam in the West, which I'm doing also only because Islam is trying to advance in the West, and some people, some ignorant people who are over compassionate about stuff. Are helping them in doing so, are helping Islam in doing so. And I'm here for people who oppose Islam. I'm here for people who want to learn about Islam. I'm here for ex-Muslims, and I'm here for reformist Muslims and others. My primary aim is not to really convert Muslims out of Islam, because I think I would waste a lot of time if that was my primary purpose, as sad as it is. But thanks for the question. And yeah, my chat jumped from the top to the bottom again, and something is messed up. Let me see. Good work. Thank you very much. My opinion about Kurdistan. It's a tricky issue. I believe that Turkey deals very unjustly with Kurdish identity and with Kurdish people. I believe Iraq is dealing unjustly with the situation, even though they are not dealing as unjustly as Turks do. Syria did that before. Iran did that before. There will be major changes probably in that region. I'm not sure where it will go. I hope and I believe that it will be better in the future. And I have some hope for a free Kurdistan, because people who advocate a free Kurdistan are usually less religious and much more secularist than Syria, Turkey, Iran, and Iraq all together. Diesel Dog asks, have you ever seen any videos of Pat Condell? Yes, I did. I think he's very, very intellectual, very eloquent, very nice, has very interesting perspectives. I would love to actually talk to him sometime here. I don't know. If you want to arrange that, you can do so. Thank you. Any good, reliable books on Islamic history? Asked by Lena Larson. I would say that while I prefer reading objective sources about things, I believe that looking for objectivity regarding Islam is a very, very tricky issue. So I would suggest reading things like Robert Spencer, for example. Robert Spencer has very great work about Islam. You can see little parts of his books, little parts of his I don't know, of his notes on his website, on his Twitter, and everywhere. I believe that he's a very, very knowledgeable person who is very good in criticizing Islam. Thanks for the question. When have I grown my beard? Before Islam, and I still have it after Islam. When I was a Muslim, it was just a bit different. It was very Islamic. Thank you, Stefan, for the question. Nippon Mehra, why would a black person ever willingly want to be a Muslim? I agree. And I have a video for that planned, which is about Islamic slavery of black people. I will make a video about that, and it's horrifying. And black people should really not come close to Islam at all. Not only because there is a hadith by Muhammad where he makes a very, very messed up comment about the appearance of black people, where he calls them raisin heads, I guess it was. K Hawkeye asked, would you come to London and debate with the Muslims at Speaker's Corner? No, I would actually not do that. I mean, I would come to London for any other thing. I would come to travel there. I would come to have fun there. I would come to have to have talks there at places where I'm welcome to do that. But I believe that Speaker's Corner No offense to all the other great people who go to Speaker's Corner, but I believe that Speaker's Corner is a place where a lot of hecklings are just using the place to pretend to have intellectual debates when they are not having intellectually strong debates. And I don't think you can actually have very nice and useful conversations at Speaker's Corner. I just don't believe that. I'm sorry. Do I like Justin Trudeau? Story Games official. Thank you. No, I don't. I think he's very corrupt. I believe he has very naive and very wrong views on the world, on social differences, on Islam and Muslims, and so on. I think he's harmful to Canada, and I believe and I hope that things will change and that we won't have to see Justin Trudeau anymore in the future. Even though I don't have very much to do with Canada, I still hope that for Canadians, for the nice, beautiful Canadian people. What do you think of Cenk at the Young Turks? Asked by Andrea. I don't have particularly very much. I don't have very much against him. I mean, I don't think that he's a scumbag or anything. I just think that he is. Sorry, I just think that he's not very smart. I think that he's not very knowledgeable about things that he talks about, especially about Islam. I believe that he might have more knowledge about politics than he might have knowledge about Islam. But I believe that he has problems with his with the way he understands things and the way he talks about things. So I don't even know why the Young Turks is a popular channel in any way. But Dave Rubin came out there, I guess, and Dave Rubin is awesome. Are you a Christian? No, I'm not a Christian. No, I am not a Christian. Did you think Muhammad knew he was lying? Asked by Khan Kaka. I think Muhammad was aware of that. I don't know. There are different issues. It might be just that he had mental problems. It might be that that he was actually aware of what he was doing and he was just abusing something. But I can. It's hard for me to believe that some normal person whose mind works perfectly fine can actually go there and have so much power and deceive people by presenting them something like an entire new religion. I believe Muhammad definitely had mental issues and very serious mental issues. Pix Elephant, what is the most violent verse in the Quran? I would say the most violent chapter in the Quran is the ninth is chapter 9, and I think the most violent verse in the Quran is chapter 5 verse 33, which is a horrible verse, which orders people to fight, to punish those who cause mischief in the country and fight against Allah and his prophet and the religion. Very vague. And the punishment that it orders for those is to cut off their hands and feet from opposite sides and let them bleed, or to crucify them, or to kill them, or to just send them away and just to expel them from the country, from the region. I think that is extremely messed up. Yes, Muhammad did call black people raisin heads in Hadith. It's an interesting topic, but I will make a big video about slavery in Islam and slavery in Islamic history, because I think the majority of Western people are not even aware of the Islamic role in the slavery of black people and other people. It's not only black people. Muslims enslaved pretty much everything, anything that walks, and that's not a Muslim. No, I'm not a Christian. Okay. I'm trying to find new questions. Nipun Mehra, why do people want to turn all countries into Islamic shitholes? Because that's what Islam is about. Islam is very different from Judaism and from Christianity in that Islam offers a political system, a military system, and orders to spread Islam. It orders to spread Islam by the word, by telling people first about Islam, then by infiltrating, and then by fighting about it. So if someone owns a town, for example, I'm talking about times back then. If someone owns a town and controls a town, and the Muslims want to go into that town, want to spread Islam there, and the leader of the town says, "No, you are not welcome here," then it is justified in Islam to attack that town in order to spread Allah's message. That, I think, says very much everything about the religion. It's getting harder and harder for me to talk, by the way. So I'm sorry if my if my voice sounds a bit rough. Will you criticize other religions as well? Asked by Casey Sahu. You can watch a video that I made recently, which is called Life After Islam, in which I explain that I don't have a major problem with other religions or with religions in general. The difference is that the difference between me and those who claim that they are against all religions is that I am being honest about my point. I'm not going to criticize all religions. I'm not going to say that Christianity is this and that horrible, and Judaism is horrible in this and that way. And then totally leave out all the other religions that no one talks about. If you claim to be against all religions, you should really also be in practice against all religions. I'm glad I announced before that I am not an anti-theist particularly. I don't have a problem with Christians believing in Christianity, not with Jews believing in Judaism, and so on. Thanks for the question. Labor Unionist Party asked, is the internet the biggest factor in the growth of the ex-Muslim movement? I believe it's one of the biggest, yes. I think the internet is one of the biggest factors in a lot of things that we are today and how rapidly society changes. Epic Girl asked, tell us which denomination of Islam is the worst. Well, denominations is probably not the right word about that, but I mean, in Islam, it's a bit different. That there are movements and sects and branches in schools. The Salafi movement among Muslims is a movement. I said movement already. I believe that they are very dangerous. I believe that they are currently the most dangerous Muslims that we have, because their ideology is also the ideology that is shared by Islamic terrorists that we have today, and by Saudi Arabia, for example, and many other people. What I like about Salafism is that Salafis are very, very brutally honest about their religion. What I don't like about them is that because they are brutally honest about religion, they are also very often very intolerant and very violent, because that's what Islam teaches. If you are honest to yourself and believe in Islam, then you will end up being intolerant, and that's what they are. Thanks for the question. Thanks, Taco, for being here. What do I think of paganism? I wouldn't compare paganism to Abrahamic religions. I think they're just very, very different concepts of ways of thinking about the world and your. I don't know. I just think it's very different. I wouldn't be able to compare pagan concepts to Islamic or Christian or Jewish concepts, and would think I wouldn't say this is better than that. Looking for new questions. I see a lot of questions that have been asked before. That's why I have like little moments of silence. But thank you, everyone, for your great comments. Thank you for being here so much. Thank you for all the questions you ask. I appreciate it very, very, very much, really. Also, while I'm looking for questions, if you support me on Patreon, I will go over my Patreon soon these days to change a lot of things about my Patreon, and I will make it much more easier for people who support me on Patreon to submit questions in advance for such Q&A sessions, for example, and many other things. My Patreon is growing very fast, faster than I expected ever, and thank you so very much for that. And I definitely want to give back, and I definitely want to make something great out of it, so that every person who decides to support me on Patreon can also really get something back from that. Someone said, can a cat walk on the Quran, or will a cat walk on the Quran? Watch David Wood's 2 videos about that. It's hilarious. I loved it very much. He made a video about that, refuting the stupid argument. It's awesome. Someone said, if Turks came from Mongolia, why don't they look Chinese anymore? Interbreeding. I mean, Turks didn't just stick to their old ways. They bred very much with Europeans, with Arabs, who are also very often white, with Persians, with so many others. I know a lot of Turks who are completely blonde and blue-eyed and stuff like that. You know. Going further, looking at questions. Are you interested in debating Muslim apologists? Not dating Muslim apologists. What am I thinking? Brightcore Studio, thanks for the question. I'm not interested in debating Muslims at all. I don't believe that that debate really does anything good, anything useful that I think is useful or that I focus on. I think debating people about religious views, especially debating Muslims about religion, is a major waste of time, is what I believe. I know many people do not agree with me on that, but I believe so, because I think if anyone among the audience really wants to change their mind based on the result of the debate, that's probably less than 1% of the audience, much less than 1% of the audience. That's probably one in 10,000 or so, and I don't really think that's worth putting that much effort in for. And I know that you can't just argue with Muslim apologists, because they will always have the position that their religion tells them the truth anyway. Warrior Linda Clark. Thank you for your great comment, Linda. Question: with your open mind, does the Quran appear to be a superior war manual, such like Sun Tzu's Art of War, etc.? No, I believe that the Quran is very, very poorly written for that. And the Quran doesn't really know what it is. The Quran, the people who put the Quran together didn't really know what it was about, because there's so much nonsense in the Quran. It's about nothing. 60% of the Quran is about hate, about violence, about blood and hellfire and destruction, and the rest is just about random things that came together in Muhammad's mind. Thanks for the question. Let me see. I talked about the people. I talked about the refugee crisis and mass Muslim immigration in Europe already. I talked about it twice. It's at the half of this video and also at the beginning somewhere. I plan to be here for another 20 minutes or so, guys. I'll try to answer as many questions as possible and stop talking and wasting your time like I'm doing right now. Make a new video series on Muslim logic fail, scientific errors in Islam. I'm planning on doing so. I'm planning on doing something like that. I never said that I'm. Oh, okay. Someone is talking to someone else in the comments in the chats. I see a lot of fun questions, and I'm trying to find really useful and nice ones that haven't been answered before. Lena Larson asked, will Erdogan succeed in turning Turkey from its hard-fought Western ways? Many Turkish people who don't agree with Erdogan and who don't agree with the way things are going, say no, it won't go that far because we are all against Erdogan and no one actually wants him, and things will change. I'm also hopeful that people can actually resist, but Turks are the current Turkish population. There is a big problem of apathy among Turks. They don't care. They don't care at all, even if they are completely opposed to the ideas presented by the government. They don't do anything about it at all. The biggest uprising against the current government in Turkey happened in a few years ago, more than 5 years ago. That was the protests at the Taksim Square. It was very, very big, lasted for weeks. But Erdogan is on his good way to desecularize Turkey, and it's horrible. But then again, I don't really have any emotional bond with Turkey, so I don't care anyway. I just wish that Western nations try to do less with Turkey than they are doing now. Yes, I can really speak Turkish. I actually performed that a bit ago. Thanks for all the great comments. Thanks for all the great comments. I speak 3 languages, Melinda, including English. It's Turkish, German, and English. I also learned quite a bit of different languages, but I wouldn't say that I can really speak any one of them very well. Shivam Sharma, did I try any other religion? No, I didn't. I looked into other religions. I prefer to really study something thoroughly before I really get into it. I made that mistake twice in my life of not really going through it completely before I joined it, and that was when I became a communist, and the second one was when I became a very religious Muslim. I don't make that mistake anymore. I pride myself with being rational. What is the most dangerous aspect of the Sharia law? Asked by Pix Elephant. What? Everything. Especially in today's time, if you want to impose Sharia law in a Western free society, everything of it is dangerous. I mean, you have basic freedoms in the West today of women, basic freedoms of apostasy, of blasphemy, homosexuals, proselytizing for different religions, and so on. All of these things are forbidden. All of these things are frowned upon and hated and punished with death under Sharia. So it's the whole idea of even following such a system is horrible. Thank you very much, Mark Jackson. Thank you very much. And thank you very much, everyone else, for your great comments, for your great compliments and your questions. Thank you very much. Apostate Prophet, do you hate me? Why would I hate you? Kelly Abbott. Anna Schneiderbauer asked, since you grew up in Germany, what is your view of the Turkish expat community, especially in light of the current Erdogan and Özil Gündoğan affair in the national football team? I don't really care very much about the football industry. I don't really care very much about public figures very much. So I wouldn't be really able to answer that question. But thank you very much. Pink Trumpet Atheist asked, please notice my question. Please, can I get an advice on how to come as an ex-Muslim atheist? I didn't really do it completely myself, so I can barely give you any advice on that. But if you are really passionate about it, then please go out there and talk about it and inform people about it. I really encourage everyone who knows about Islam, everyone who learns about Islam, who is an ex-Muslim or not an ex-Muslim, it doesn't matter, to go out there and talk about Islam, to criticize Islam, to tell people, to inform people what Islam is all about. I'm not in some form of competition or anything. I appreciate everyone who does the same thing that I do, and I would always be gladly supportive of you if you want to do that. Thanks for the question. Kushtarine, where do you see Islam 100 years from now? I think that in 100 years, Islam will be much, much weaker than it is right now. In that future generations, because of the rapid change thanks to the internet and other factors, that Muslims in 100 years will be very, 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 very um, much less religious than they are today, which is great. And I hope so. Thanks for the question. Sonko asked, "Do you get to pick the women in paradise based on how they look, their height, and their feet, and their features in heaven?" Nice question. I will ask Allah and Mossad. Bilaraj, I'm reading the questions from the live chat. Do I understand Dutch? Asked by Antimony Cup. I understand Dutch a bit. I worked together with a lot of Dutch speaking people, and it's very similar in a lot of ways to German. So yeah, I kind of understand half of what is being talked. And I was in Amsterdam before for a week. It wasn't really very hard to get around. You can ask me anything, even questions like this. Thank you very much, by the way. Michael Leonard, I don't understand the question fully. I'm very sorry. Aman Sharma, why does Islam find it so difficult to coexist with other religions? I made a video about that called "Why Muslims Can't Take Criticism." I think I included a lot of stuff that is important in that regard in that video. Also, some other people mentioned it before. There are other ex-Muslims out there who value it very much to give advices to ex-Muslims who are trapped in the Muslim community, who are trapped in Muslim families in the Western world or in the Islamic world. Anyway, you know what I mean. There are some people on YouTube who like to give advices to such ex-Muslims. One of them is, for example, Introverted Smiles, I believe, does a lot of things like that. Another person, I don't know. I've seen some people doing that before, but the only person that I can actually think of right now is Introverted Smiles. And there are some people from ex-Muslims of North America who would gladly offer you a solution to get out of the Islamic world or to deal with your Islamic family while you are an ex-Muslim. Question asked by SHAK. Do you think Europe will be converted to Islam? I don't believe so. I believe that we will have a significant Islamic population in a lot of countries, like in Sweden, for example, or in the UK. And it might even be that Muslims form parties in the future that will have a lot of influence in the country, that will be like one of the major parties in the country, which is a horrible thing to expect. But instead, I also believe that that Islam will slowly become weaker and weaker and weaker, because future generations are getting more and more irreligious, especially if they move to the West. Which doesn't mean that we have to be for mass Muslim immigration. We should not. Average Joe asked, "How do you stay so positive?" I just have it in me. I'm a person who thinks a lot. I think all the time about stuff, about everything, and very often I can become very sad about things. But I just like being on my positive side all the time, even though I'm not always on my positive side. Thanks, by the way. Do I still have contact with my family in Turkey? Yes, I do. They don't know about my activities. They will definitely learn about it. What happens then? I don't know. Thank you. Thank you very much, Toby Henderson, for your great comments. I love it. What is the most effective method to learn about Islam? Asked by Eratosthenes. I believe the most effective methods are to read the Quran from with a great translation, like Sahih International, for example. I wouldn't, even though many people suggested, I wouldn't take Pictol because it's old language. I wouldn't pick other versions that are very popular, written by a lot of Pakistani scholars, for example, because they have many interpretations within the translations, and I don't think that's the way you should read the Quran. I think you should read the Quran in a way that is mostly based on complete translation without very much interpretation in it. Read the whole damn thing, make up your opinion about it. It will most likely not be positive. And also read the Quran and Islamic history. I think that means a lot. Read Hadith. If you want to read Hadith, Hadith is a very, very big collection of narrations about Muhammad. You will never get through it, but still try it. You will learn the most horrible things that you have ever heard coming out of a Muslim, coming out of a human's mind. If you read the Hadith. Islamists have issued a contract on Tommy Robinson. What's your views on this? I don't know much about it. Recently, in the last few days, I haven't really looked very much at news around my cause, about similar causes, about news in general. So I don't really know what happened. I can't comment on it. But I know, of course, of Tommy Robinson's situation right now. Anti-Money Cup. Can Erdogan be trusted with the American nukes currently in Turkey? He can't do anything about it. Ranbish Raj Sharma, you are educating people. Thank you so much. Oh, I thought it was a question. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. Do you think your personality led you to search for the truth about Islam? I believe so. I mean, I believe that some things about my personality just pushed me further to question my my intentions and my religious views, my views on so many things that Islam deals with, much further, and especially towards the end of my religious faith, especially after I left Islam, I found myself more and more confronted with things that I judged because of my religious beliefs, and I just thought, come on, let's just put everything down and just think about everything based on rationality, not based on some sort of Quran or some sort of belief. Yeah, I think my personality helped me a lot in that, but I don't know how much influence I have on my personality. Question by Blossoming Reason. Does Erdogan want to be the next caliph? I believe he would love to be the next caliph because he always prides himself with the support that he gets from the Muslim world. I believe he would love it, but he can't do it because he would go against the constitution in such a way that he can't even change with a referendum. Kylo said, how do you respond to excuses like you need to read it in Arabic or the lame context excuse? If you need to read Arabic in order to understand Islam, then it means that the vast majority of Muslims do not understand Islam, and the vast majority of people who read it who know Arabic also don't understand Islam, which means that the majority of people have no idea what they are believing in. The argument makes no sense, and there is basically no proper language in future since we started to read texts that we cannot accurately translate, and the Quran is not special in any way because it's holy or anything. It's a language in the end. Pakistanis hate the USA. I know. I know. Not very many people are very fond of Pakistan either. So, are you a pacif? Are you a what? Am I a pacifist? I guess. Yeah. Okay. I'm peaceful. I always think that I don't know. Is that a question or is it misspelled? I believe that's a question. I'm just answering what I'm reading here. So yes, I believe in. I don't believe in major big wars, in reasons to execute people to death, in anything like that. I don't believe in major conflicts. I don't believe in major disagreements that we have in Western politics today, for example. I believe that we should live in a world where people try to understand more with each other, but I would say that intolerance of Islam is also a big part of understanding each other, because Islam advocates the opposite of understanding each other. Thanks for the question. Shamsi Mekto, very much. Thank you very much for your nice comment. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I will be here for another 20 minutes. I know I said it 10 minutes ago, but I will be here till, yeah, till 30, and then I will be gone. I'm in 4:30 Central Time. You probably don't know what I'm talking about when I say 30. If you are in India, rant about Adam. About no. I don't want to attack individuals, no matter where they are from, what they believe in. Only if they attack me first. You have a nice community now. I agree, tickling the ostriches with your great username. I agree with it very much. Thank you everyone so much for being here, for joining me here, for always making great comments on my videos, asking great questions. I love it very much, and I'm happy very much with the community that I have here. And about religious differences, I see it being asked very often in the comment section again and again, and also in this live chat. I don't believe in separation. I don't believe in separation. I don't believe in dividing people very much further. And I believe that in this cause against Islam, in my cause against Islam, people of Christian belief, of Jewish belief, of Hinduism, and atheists and many others have something in common, in that we have to oppose this ideology that teaches to be intolerant and to be oppressive. I believe in the common cause that we have in this, and I don't want to divide this cause much further with, oh, you are a Christian and you are an atheist and you are a Hindu and so on. So that's why I don't believe that your religious differences are very much relevant to me. I appreciate every single one of you, no matter what you believe in, even if you believe in Islam and you think this is useful, which is weird. Yeah, speaking is getting very, very hard for me right now. It's my first session. I'm sorry. So another 50 minutes and then we will probably be done. And if you have more questions, you can always join me every month in such Q&As and other live chats that I might have with other people. And I will always gladly answer your questions. What do you think of the movie Fitna, made by Geert Wilders? Asked by Ryman Salam. I think the short film Fitna is a very, very nice short film that uses emotion in a very nice way to warn people about the dangers that come with Islam and Islamization. And I also admire Geert Wilders as a politician in the Netherlands and in Europe. I would love to have a talk with him sometime. I watched that short film Fitna long ago. It's about 50 minutes, I think. I would suggest everyone to watch that. I think it's well done. It's not perfect. It lacks further criticism and detail, but it's nice. Thanks for the question. Najib Khan asked, do you think that Islam stole a lot of ideas from Zoroastrianism? Because there is a lot of similarities. Yes, I do. I touched that topic very, very briefly in my video, The Flying Horse Fantasy, I believe it was. I will talk further about that. I will do a lot about Islam and its pagan elements. And Zoroastrianism is not entirely a monotheistic religion. It has a lot of pagan elements in it, which Islam appropriated in a very nice way. Someone said you don't know about Islam. You honestly don't. I know. I am just paid by Mossad. And you are all asking me questions here. How could you? Thank you for your honesty. Thank you very much. Do you have any other jobs after this? Yes, I do. And I even wanted to put some time into making a new video for tomorrow, but I don't think I will be able to do that. So I will be together with you on Friday again after this. Scooch asked, but you are a medical doctor? Yes, I am. Everyone who doesn't know what that gag refers to, just watch my Zakir Naik's embarrassing video. What do I think about Russians? Asked by Dimitri NTK. Not very much. I mean, what should I think? I know a lot of great Russians. I had Russian friends before. Not very much. If you are talking about the political climate in Russia right now, that's a different issue. I wouldn't even want to go into that. Have you read Richard Dawkins' God Delusion? Yes, I did. It was actually a nice read. It was a good book to read. I I get a lot of hate for this, but I wish I wish fans of Richard Dawkins were more like Richard Dawkins in opposing Islam. Okay, I'm trying to answer more important questions that haven't appeared before because I'm coming towards the end of this, and I just feel like it has only been half an hour. I believe in little wars. Yes, I believe in little wars. What are my thoughts on Hinduism? The question was asked in a similar way before. I don't think. I believe that Hinduism is not like a horrible religion the way Islam is. Because I know some details, some aspects about Hinduism, but I wouldn't be able to really make a detailed review about Hinduism because I believe, for honesty and fairness, I would have to read very, very much more about Hinduism. I don't think that my knowledge is enough to be in the position of making such statements about Hinduism, or about Buddhism, or about other religions. What do you think about 5 times prayer? Asked by Generating Random. I think that's one of the most important aspects of Islam, actually, that make Muslims very, very much useless in the world. In that it teaches them apathy because they have to. I mean, you have to pray 5 times a day. 5 times a day, you have to wash yourself, find a spot for yourself, and pray to your Allah. And that is obviously a crazy obstacle if you want to be productive in your life. So I did it before. It's really very much an obstacle. I know Muslims will not admit that. If you ask a Muslim who also prays, he will tell you that it makes your life so much better and so much more peaceful and this and that. But it's a major obstacle if you really want to have a productive life. Why do Muslims slice their penises? Or why do Muslims practice male circumcision? It's based on biblical teachings, but Islam got it very, very wrong. Could you do a video on jizya? Yes, I will do a video on jizya, Riman Salam. Thank you very much for your question. Thank you, Jenna. Thank you, Labor Unionist Party. Why did you leave? Why did you stop being a communist? Would be the accurate question, Andrea. I was a communist. I was a communist years ago. I was a communist between I don't know. I was still quite young. I was looking for a purpose in life, and that was before 2010. And because of my rebellious nature, because of my skepticism and everything, I thought, because I felt very much compassion for people that seem to be oppressed in Turkey and stuff like that. And in Turkey, there are really people who are very much oppressed compared to the West, where there is no one oppressed. I'm sorry. I thought that communism would be an interesting direction to go to. That was not the only thing. I also learned a lot about communism. I read about it constantly, all the time. I followed the ideology for a long time, but I found out things about communism, especially from the views of Karl Marx and Lenin and many others, especially of Lenin, that were incompatible of what I thought would be a liberating ideology called communism. What you find out if you learn more about Vladimir Lenin is that he was not for the liberation of all kind of people at all. He was actually very, very intolerant of a lot of people. Karl Marx as well. I mean, Karl Marx is presented by today's communists as a person who was extremely who had the keys of liberation for all the people, but he was not. He was not. He was very, very much against specific people in societies that he dealt with. And apart from that, if you come to communism as an economic system, it makes basically no sense. But I wouldn't want to explain that here because economics is very boring to many people, including to me. Um, I have no idea what you're saying, Diesel Dog. Oh, okay. You're speaking an old language. Thank you. Um, what else? What else? What else? Oh, Vidovitz. Hi, Vidu. Thanks for being here. Everyone, if you don't know about Vidovitz's channel, he has a great channel. I would tell everyone to check that out too. And while he's here and while we're talking about him, he also asked me the question, what do you think of the alt-right? Well, I believe that people have a very major confusion about what the alt-right is and what it is not. To say it very clearly, if you look at the alt-right, if you look at what combines the alt-right, especially in countries like America, is that many people in the alt-right have one specific cause that they are very, very strong about. But that cause is also a cause that the media, especially the left-leaning media, who wants to talk about social justice all the time, somehow doesn't want to bring up. The major issue of people of alt-right people like Richard Spencer or many other people who don't really associate with Richard Spencer but call themselves alt-right, they have a major issue with Jews. They have a major issue with conspiracy theories related to Jews. They make extremely disgusting arguments, extremely disgusting statements about Jews. But that unites them. That's also their main cause. That's like one of the most important things among alt-right forums, if you just go on a search, if you want to verify that for yourself. But the left-leaning media and other Islamophile media in the West totally ignore that part. What they tell about the alt-right constantly is, oh, they are white supremacists, oh, they are racists, oh, they are sexists, oh, they are this, oh, they are that. And even things like, oh, they are heavily Islamophobic. No, they don't want to talk about one of the major things that the alt-right wants to talk about, which is Jews. And I'm sorry, the alt-right are majorly people, if we are talking about the real alt-right, such as the Daily Stormer or Richard Spencer or other sources like that. They are people who push extremely flawed, stupid, hateful pseudoscience, hypothesis. They give you a hypothesis and tell you about how humans are different from each other. They push identity politics, and identity politics is probably one of the most cancerous things in Western politics that we have seen in recent times. In terms of identity politics, they are even worse than than Antifa. I'm sorry if you don't agree with me, but I think that Antifa and the alt-right are very, very much on an equal level in terms of how ugly and annoying they are. I would also do Islam the honor to place Islam in the same room with the alt-right and Antifa, but I believe that Islam is almost twice as bad as Antifa and the alt-right, but they are somehow like on the same path in many, many ways. Yeah. I know some people say, no, you're just misunderstanding the alt-right. I'm sorry. Go on the major platforms of the alt-right, and I spent hours on those. I spent days on those, and what you will see everywhere is, oh, is this guy a Jew? Oh, this guy is a Jew, right? Oh, this guy is 1% Jew, and they have even insane theories. Like, you go into them and you read things like. About even people who are members of the alt-right. You read major discussions with leading figures among the alt-right and their fans about how some members of the alt-right are not trustworthy because they are 5% Jewish. They have 5% Jewish heritage, which makes them inherently horrible people, which makes them inherently bad and inherently traitors. I'm sorry, but there are also some people, of course, like people like like Lawrence Southern, who is a great personality, or other people who are called alt-light by the alt-right. Those people are in no way alt-right. Lawrence Southern is in no way alt-right. Lawrence Southern is Lawrence Southern is an awesome activist, and she is much, much greater than all those alt-right personalities combined. And yeah, that's just what I'm saying. They even have problems with people like Jordan Peterson, with Lawrence Southern, with Tommy Robinson. They have occasionally extreme problems with Trump, with everyone who does not exactly agree with them. Ben Shapiro is not a huge alt-right figure. Ben Shapiro is extremely against the alt-right, and he's a Jew himself. And he wrote pieces, he made videos very much about the alt-right, and he hates the alt-right. And I like Ben Shapiro very much. I think Ben Shapiro is a great conservative, and I would love to see him as president of the United States. All right. Which direction would a Muslim pray towards if he were on the moon? I want to make a video about that. Before that, thank you very much, Vidovitz, about your question. And if anyone wants to check out his channel, it's very nice, very hilarious. He makes great impressions of Zakir Naik. It's beautiful. I think I've come to the end of this live chat. I tried to answer as many questions as possible. I'm sorry if I missed a few things. You can always send me emails. You can always send me messages on Twitter and on different platforms. I will always try to answer a lot about the things that you want to ask me. So thank you very, very much, everyone, for being here. Thank you very, very much for all your great questions, all your great comments, all your great compliments, and everything. I can't speak anymore. And I will be with you on Friday again. And thank you very much. I hope you liked this, and we will see each other next month in such a live chat, and I will announce it further. If we need to do something earlier than that, I will announce that too. Thank you very much, and stay away from Islam. Thanks.